Hi, I'm Susan Schatzer, one of the producers of a brand new movie that's launching from the LA Tribune called The Pillars of Power. Joining me is one of our cast members and headliner himself, Jagadeesh Paramahansa. So thank you so much for joining me here. You have had a full day today with filming. Tell us what it's been like.
Well, it's been wonderful. It's a very professional set of people with heart-centered and beautiful people. So,
Love it. You've been having a good time. Do you have any funny moments that may have taken place? Any bloopers?
I don't know.
We'll skip that one. So tell us about your choice when the opportunity arose for you to be in this movie. What was that like for you?
Well, it's a wonderful movie, and the people behind it are just wonderful. I mean, what attracted me was that the LA Tribune wants to have a huge impact in the upliftment of, I guess, an unlimited amount of people all over the world. So that's in alignment with what I moved to do as well.
So your mission and their mission sort of intertwined.
Yeah, and my mission, in a way, is the spiritual upliftment, and how that relates to uplifting people in all the pillars of life. So, yeah.
Fantastic. So you have a special prayer that we'd love to record for you to share with our audience.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you the microphone and take it away. Yes.
Okay. Well, this is Sanskrit, so this will be quite interesting. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Thank you so much. That was lovely. I could feel the toning in my heart as you were producing the sound with yours. Very beautiful. So was there anything that would have held you back from being a part of this show, this movement, and this movie?
Well, yeah, the thing is, I've been in solo retreat practice for the last 8 years, and I'm just beginning the 9th year. And so this is necessarily bringing me out, but it was time for that, to bring me out. And so I'm happy to do that.
And what an out this is. Not like you're on a podcast or a TV show. You went all in.
Yeah.
All in. Just right to the movies, right to people's homes. Tell us how you feel that's going to impact the world.
Well, I bring a speciality that not many people have, an expertise. And that is on levels of spiritual, not only awakening, but spiritual realization, attainment, and accomplishment that goes beyond most traditions and paths, actually. So there's levels beyond the absolute oneness, for instance, the non-dual realization, and there's levels transcendental duality within total non-duality, and there's levels of introduction to what I would say Swayam Bhagavan, original source God, introduction, and then a gradual friendship with, and a gradual revelation of who and what this original source God actually is, directly experiential. So
That is so amazing. And so this is going to be happening in our lifetime.
well, it's happened in my lifetime, so I'm hoping, and it's a continual process too. So with the efforts that I do, with the sacred transmission work I do, then it's available for people to advance very quickly in a very balanced way. So yes.
Nice. Can you tell us about the transmission work that you do? Is it considered a channeling or something else?
Oh, no, I don't know what to call it. It wouldn't be channeling. This is, say, the divine light transmission is one thing that I do. So it's it works on a level of being permanently in oneness with God. So I'm not channeling, I'm being, right? But I'm being with God in a very powerful, immediate, pragmatic way. And the transmission is there for the participants.
Beautiful. Is that something in the physical that you feel, or energetic, or some other realm?
It's, see, in Eastern spirituality, one realizes their truest identity, and that's pure spiritual substance, divine love bliss, eternal existing conscious bliss. So from that place, then one just radiates that, and that's a knowing and like a complete identity. So that's what that is.
It sounds so easy and so matter of fact when you explain it. So, for those of us who may not be as in tune as you are, can you explain the process that you went through in becoming a monk and moving forward with your transmissions and your work?
Well, the transmission and work I do is a result of being empowered by a great Siddha saint, a fully God-realized saint in India. And this, I lived with him and a group of holy Babajis in the 70s and 80s mostly, doing a total of about 15 years of retreat practice. And there were many other Siddhas, fully God-realized beings from not only my tradition, but several other sister traditions and even other traditions that I got to spend a lot of time with and get their blessings through knowledge and through just the impartation of divine energy. So that was all very wonderful. And so I'm empowered to be able to help the acceleration of people's spiritual and human maturity and their advancement and evolutionary process of the soul, so that one can attain this same realization that we are not our body, but as a realization, not as a concept. It's wrong to have a concept of that and go around, I'm not my body. You have to realize it. And then you're embodied in your body with this divine light and love, and so the purification of the soul, to the extent that we can reflect the God within to the out, and we can consciously understand that process so that we could go beyond what the soul is to our pure spirit, the Atman. So it is quite a process. But people are doing it all over the world. And the main thing is to just to be humble enough to keep progressing, because there's always a realization, in my tradition at least, there's always more exalted realization, like I was mentioning earlier. Yeah.
So tell us what a day in the life with you would look like.
Well, since it's a life of service now, besides maybe 10 hours of practice that I do every day, then it's about doing the service. So we've designated Tuesday nights, 6 o'clock to 7 p.m. Pacific Coast time, to do the transmission for everyone through the online process, Zoom or live streaming or whatever it's going to be, because I've only been doing it a few weeks and we already have 100 people participating. So at some point there'll be 1,000 and there might be 5,000 people participating. So this is an invitation to everyone. Even if you don't know the English language, you can participate, because part of it is a deep meditation while I do the sacred transmission that everyone palpably feels. So within just the last few weeks of doing this, once a week, right, people have had profound transformation and profound spiritual awakening, to the extent that one person experienced enlightenment. After the experience of enlightenment, though, there's the realization of enlightenment. So it's a process, you know. Yeah. And then all kinds of wonderful things have gone on for people. So this is really powerful yet balanced, overwhelming yet grounded in humility and compassion. So, you know, it's beautiful. So.
It is. So is it hard for people to give up the ego?
Yes. Yes. Well, you give up the gross ego at first, and then you work on the subtle ego. Now, the thing with transmission work is the transmission brings you into such a high frequency of purity and God, I don't know what to call it, God presence. Yeah, the presence of God. And from that, it's so much easier to give up the ego because you see through the ego when you attain these levels. And it might last 4 or 5 days, you know, these because of the power of the transmission. And you do your own practice to support that, and you keep growing and growing. So it becomes so much easier to be more and more virtuous, which is the foundation of spiritual life, of lasting spiritual life. And then it becomes easier just to drop the old habits and different things that don't serve us, you know. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing this first segment with us. Before we went to break, you had an opportunity. We were talking about different transmissions and things and what happened and what things take place and how it resonated with you. Would you tell everyone a little bit more about how the pillars of power, the concept, the energy, frequency, and vibration of that, and how that affects and connects with the work you do?
Okay, great. Well, in the Eastern traditions, they have the 4 pillars that bring together the 5 pillars that are talked about here in this movie. And what it is it's the, you know, the path of goodness for the human being, right? So the first one is dharma. Dharma means goodness, truth, living in a true way, right thought, right action. So it's the foundation of everything, and it interpenetrates each of the pillars, whether it's the 5 pillars of this movie, which I'll explain how it's related, or the 4 pillars of the Purushartha. So the way of the living being, how to work within this world in a good way.
Is that what the Parashalta is?
Yeah, Purushartha. So we'll go with Dharma then, that you, in the beginning of life, you're taught how to be situated in virtue, how to embody virtue in your life. And then as you mature in life and the time for marriage or householdership is coming, then you, Artha is the next process, so to speak. And that is wealth and affluence as it happens for you, all within virtue. So that covers career, job, wealth, how you use it, how to have wealth in a very positive win-win situation, empower self and everyone else, those kinds of things. Yeah. And so you have that wealth, and then Kama, the 4th one, is the pleasure. So in married life, you have the pleasure of family, of intimacy, you have the pleasure of good food, and all of these different things of a nice house and all of those things. Within Eastern traditions, of course, all of those, we become the stewards of those things because they're really, those are God's things. We co-create them, we create them, we bring them together as an offering to God. And then at the end of life, so this includes not only wealth, but mental health and relationship. So relationship is within this as well. And then the 4th one is moksha, liberation. So at the time that our children have grown up and we've created the loving atmosphere and the knowledge and all, you know, education, all of those things in a very, very wonderful way, then we know they're taken care of. And then we go on to do our deep spiritual practice as a couple and or solo, whatever. Really, it's the togetherness, and they do deep spiritual practice and attain the liberation, the enlightenment. But then certain traditions go even more exalted than that, and so that we call that the fifth Purushartha. So there's a fifth one, and that is what I call liberation and divine love of God. But that entails really advanced levels that aren't even in those words. But that's just what I call that at this point.
Nice. Would that be the spirituality pillar?
Well, no, the spirituality pillar is taken with moksha, the fourth. Moksha, attaining liberation. But then there's always a fifth in certain traditions that are very exalted traditions, that liberation is the beginning of spiritual advancement that goes so far beyond any capacity for the intellect or the mind to grasp. Yet it's deeply experiential, and of course the transformation that happens. And this is really a permanent level, as well as moksha. It's a permanent level of identification with your pure, truest spiritual nature as divine love bliss. And then the exalted fifth one would be understanding your pure spiritual nature completely and being introduced to God, coming closer and closer to God. This is the God beyond creation. This is the God of love and beauty, and going to the place of becoming friends with such a God, and this is one God. It's not that it's a duplicity. Until you are invited into the realm of this God, and this God would be compared to being on the sun planet, rather than being on the way to the sun planet. You're on the sun planet itself, so it's very intense. And we need to be acclimatized to that. Our body, mind, emotions, our subtle bodies. It's a gradual process that takes decades to acclimatize to this high of energy. And then after the body drops away, because we cannot contain all that energy in a physical body, there are intermediary realms that we go to continue on the trajectory to this intimate living with God and interacting with that. Yeah.
Beautiful. What would you...
This is really, actually, this is extraordinary, as you are picking up. And very, very different knowledge. It's this extra knowledge about where one can actually go. That's why the autobiography that's coming out through LA Tribune, that's going to be published through them, is I describe some of these things, and I further describe them in book 2, that'll come out later, the experiences and all of that stuff, so people can open their minds and hearts to things that people have never heard of before. So, yeah.
I love it. And I notice, I'm not sure if our audience can pick up on it, but your eyes have started to twinkle. Like they're filled with this light that you didn't have when we first started. Yeah, do you realize that that's taking place within you?
It happens, yeah, it happens.
So fun. So tell us, what is the most difficult pillar for humanity to step into?
I really think it's the spirituality pillar, because there's not enough accurate knowledge about it, and there's not enough accurate examples and representations of it in the world. That's how I feel. And we're talking about something intrinsic. So everyone has a spiritual life, whether they're conscious of it or not. Okay, so in a way it's the easiest pillar, because it's who we are actually. So in a way it's the easiest. But to attain this inconceivable realization, and then to attain it on a permanent level, that's where it's the hardest.
Profound. Yeah. It is. It's something that we were never taught in school. Our families never talked about it. It was something that was just this abstract thing that, someone in the mountains, who didn't come out of a cave for a while did. How do you transcend that with society?
Oh, what do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Like how the view of what a monk is, who he is, what he does, what he stands for, this, that, and the stereotypical sort of viewpoint that people would have of that. How do you deal with that? How do you, bridge that, step into that, a different possibility, and now you're in a movie. Right. So how are you doing it?
Well, to me, it's not different. There's no difference. There's a state of a permanent unity and oneness where whatever you're doing, it's the same, but it's dynamic. It's not static. It's dynamic. So it's the same for me, and yet there's some differences too, But I'm interacting with the divine in everyone. My job is to look at you and look at everyone, right, as perfectly enlightened beings and lovers of God, although not everyone has to be, okay. Not everyone has to jump to that level, because you can be atheistic, or what I'd say is non-theistic. You can be non-theistic and still attain liberation and enlightenment. So that's the beautiful part. You have Buddhism that's non-theistic, and they're attaining enlightenment. They're attaining the divine presence and realizing that on a permanent level. Yeah.
Lovely. So you mentioned your book that's coming out. Does it have a title? And would you be able to share that with us, or is that top secret?
No, it's not top secret. Is it top secret? I don't know. What is it called? Divine Love Bliss: A Child's Extraordinary Journey to God Realization. And I already have written book 1 and book 2, but book 1 will be published first, and then book 2 at a later time.
So are you that child in the book?
I'm the child.
And it's autobiography, so it's the true story of you?
Yeah, right. Some people call it a memoir. I don't know the exact difference, but yeah, it is true.
Nice. So would you share with our audience something nobody knows about you?
No one knows about me. Oh, I don't know. I mean...
It's a tough question.
It's very tough.
No, it's so interesting because so many people, it's a really tough question. It's like, doesn't everybody know everything about me? Is there a hidden secret, that you haven't shared with anyone on the planet ever at any time?
No, the autobiography is covering all these things. In fact, when people read it and they're going to come to me and say, oh, when this happened, I'm going to go, oh, how do you know that? How do you know that this happened to me? Where'd you get that information? I'm a very private person, but that's just because I've lived with holy people. Well, we don't talk about ourselves. It's useless. It's stupid. And when you're involved in selfless service, it's about others. It's not about me at all, I'm not very significant in the fabric of life, So.
I agree. I feel the same way with the work I do. It's like when I see people, I see their heart light. I see their soul shine. So they come to me and I'm like, you're gorgeous, you're handsome, you're amazing, and they're like, really? Yeah. I was like, yes, because you see the heart light. Is that you also, right? You see the divinity within.
It is. It's extraordinary.
So fun. So please, would you share with us an experience that you've had with an individual in a healing or an altering state that took place when you were together?
Okay. Well, I've had a very dear client who came to me, and this is related to the 5 pillars. He came to me. He actually was a monk in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, a very dear person, but also he was a very dynamic person. He was one of the main people, unrecognized, who created Earth Day. So he did all the footwork for Earth Day, but no one knows his name. It was very interesting, but a very wonderful, dynamic person. And he was suffering from bipolar, rapid cycling bipolar, and his life was a mess on every level you can think of. He lived in a basement apartment or what have you, where the toilet was overflowing and filling all his rooms with poop. He didn't have a job. He had a car that was so, dilapidated and was not trustworthy at all to move around. He had no job. He didn't have very many friends because when I met him, this was the second time, I won't talk about how I met him the first. It would be a very long story. But the second time I met him, and I was glad to meet him again, was he had not showered for 3 weeks and he had not brushed his teeth for days. And you can tell if you were talking with him, all these things. So I reminded him that I offered my services to him like many months beforehand when I met him the first time. And this time he took me up on it. Before, he didn't know me. He was scared, different things. He was cautious. So he just said yes. He was in a manic state. That could have been one of the reasons he said yes. But we became friends. And I worked with him. There's a certain area of my work that I do with people where I work with them for a year. So I worked with him for a year. I said, I'll work with you for a year, and then you tell me what the results, how you are doing, how you feel about it. And we started working, and within a very short time, he got a job. This is really, I'm remembering more. I told him, first I'll start working with you, and we exchanged phone numbers and addresses, I think, and stuff like that. And this was decades ago, right? There was no internet of any kind whatsoever. So I told him, the first thing I want you to do is start brushing your teeth every day and showering every day. And when he called me, he started calling me every day. Actually, I do that. I brush my teeth. I did all these things, and then we met in person and started the working together. And like I said, within a very short time, everything shifted and changed. He got a job. He was making money. He got a new car. He got a new place that was a very wonderful place for him to live. And then with all of that taken care of, he could get even more deeply into his spirituality that he had been involved in. So the main thing, all of those things were miracles. His mental clarity came, his health improved, physical health, all of these things. His career took off, all of this stuff. It was beautiful. And his surroundings. So the next thing also that happened later, when the year came up, he reminded me, we'd been working a year now. And time flew by, so I thanked him for that to remind me. And what happened was he wrote me a communication, and we talked about it a little bit too, is he, for the first time in his entire life, he was experienced genuine happiness, right? So either he was manic or depressed, or he was on medication and dumbed out in a way, right? So after that year of work, he was on a level of experiencing true, genuine happiness, and he was crying. The tears were coming from what transpired, the transformation. And it was a deep, lasting transformation. So it was just truly amazing. Yeah.
It is.
That's indicative of many clients, by the way. I'm trying to remain humble while I say that, but anyway.
So it's not a one and done.
Yeah. This is many clients have that kind of transformation.
And what do you attribute the transformation to and from?
Well, from the work we're doing together, but on his side, his devotion and dedication to it. Without that, well, even if one didn't have that, there would be great transformation because we're working on cleansing deep-seated negative karmic content. Like I have the ability, I don't really like mentioning this, but I'm, in certain parlances, I'd be considered a sin eater. There's a very, very rare person who's able to take in and process and cleanse someone's deep-seated negative karmic content. But that's what I do. That's what I'm able to do.
So is it like you delete it or something different?
Yeah, it's not deleted. It's purified and kind of burned up would be one way of looking at it. And the thing is, what people don't know, because people have questions, oh, well, then I won't learn my lessons. Well, everyone learns their lessons, and you can either learn them by tragedy or challenges or discomfort, or you can learn those exact same lessons out of joy and happiness, because the karma of the lessons have been completely cleansed and cleared, but you still learn the lesson, but in beauty and happiness. And this is real, and it's amazing. So
It's sort of like how you're doing things differently with people.
well, I mean, yeah, I think it's differently than what most people are doing. I think so.
No, well, normally you're talking about how people need to have a lesson, and a lesson is a struggle, it's a problem they need to overcome, versus you're showing them the possibility that it can also be done in joy and happiness and with ease.
Yeah, and that's because the karma has been cleared. That is able to happen that way. Right.
Beautiful. Would you honor us with a transmission for our audience?
Okay.
Would you like me to hold the microphone, or would you like to?
Well, I'll hold it. Yeah, thank you, dear. Thank you. Okay, so everyone out there, and there is many millions and billions of people, and including animals, plants, and all the subtle beings, and all the subtle beings that exist, including the elementals. So when I do work, it's a transmission for all sentient beings. So how many trillions, quadrillions of sentient beings there are. So I'm going to do a 1-minute divine light transmission, which I do for the public online once a week anyway. And we'll just do that. So first, if you want to close your eyes, you don't need to, but just be aware of your physical body. Be aware of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Very, very good. And now go into the heart center. Focus in the heart center, making a very deep, sincere prayer for profound, wonderful healing, upliftment, and spiritual illumination and realization. And just rest. Okay, gently come back to awareness and hold the silence for maybe an hour or two, and you're good to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much for honoring us with that. So it was interesting when we were in the meditative state, and you were walking us through, there was this element of like movement that I could feel and hear in the room with us. What was that?
The divine energy of God, the presence of God.
Because we don't have the air conditioning on, there's no fans blowing, but to hear the movement in the room was so interesting for me. So divine.
Yeah, what do you think it was?
I don't have a point of view about what it was, who it was, when it was, how it happened. So I was asking you, I'm like, if you had an awareness, because is this something that happens normally when you do this?
Yes. Oh, all kinds of things happen. Like I say, people get touched by God, their tears happen. All kinds of different things will happen with people, and nothing has to happen, And sometimes people will feel the effects later in the day or night or the next day. So that's also happens like that. Sometimes it's gradual, sometimes it's overwhelmingly powerful. And sometimes people need to come for a few months, every Tuesday night for 2 or 3 months. And then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. Yeah.
So it's like there's no expectation, just be willing to receive.
Yeah, right. Right. Knowing that you're connected with God within and God outside, Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Would you have something that you would like to leave our audience with before we leave today?
Okay. Okay. How about, okay. Okay, everyone, the advice really is to develop and embody virtues and start where you're at. Start loving yourself, accepting yourself. If you can accept yourself and everything going on within and in the world, doesn't mean you condone it, but just that you accept it on a very, very deep level, then you're setting the climate for transformation. So that's one important thing. The other thing is if you do some kind of meditation for yourself, start breathing in and out through the heart. That'll help bring your mental chatter, if you will, and your consciousness that's usually in the brain, down to the heart center. That's where the Atman is. That's where God resides within. So we want to focus that way and just breathing in and out. Now, this could be closed eyes, open eyes. You can do this walking. You can do this while working sometimes, if it works for you. And so that's a very basic and yet beautiful, wonderful meditation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So before we hop off, would you tell us something special that you have looking forward to for humanity and the planet moving forward in 2025?
Okay. 20. Oh, can I do this? 2025. It could be a great year. We can use all our challenges as fuel for devotion and dedication to our spiritual practices, to devotion and dedication to building and embodying virtue, loving kindness and compassion to self and others. So these are wonderful opportunities for that. In the long run, the opportunities I want to provide people is creating an ashram for people to come and do a month retreat or do 12 years of retreat with me and become the next spiritual realized saints who become the spiritual leaders. So that's my personal goal.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. So tell everybody why they should go see the Pillars of Power.
It's going to be extraordinary. It's just, there's no words actually for it. So I think you'll learn so much. You'll be more empowered. And you'll get a glimpse of some of the inner knowledge that the experts have gained in their life and working with people. So it's extraordinary, really beautiful.
Thank you so much. So until we meet you in person someday, ciao for now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.